Hi, it's Barry Neale here. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips I've used over the years to successfully help thousands of people lose weight. Weight loss can be quite a challenging area for hypnotherapists, mainly because many people have misconceptions about what hypnosis is and what it can do. And oftentimes you'll get weight loss clients come in with unrealistic expectations. So these 5 tips will really help you to get greater success with weight loss clients. And it can be really rewarding work because you can help people really change their lives. I've had people over the years who've lost over 100 pounds. I mean, that really changes someone's life to lose that amount of weight. So it can be really rewarding work. Now, it's not one of those things that I would recommend that you do like one session. I'm not really into this one session miracle cure type way of working with hypnosis and hypnotherapy. I don't ascribe to that. There are some exceptions, like smoking can often be done in 1 or maybe 2 sessions, and some phobias can be done in 1 or 2 sessions. But when you're working with someone with weight loss, particularly if they've got a considerable amount of weight to lose, you need to be looking at multiple sessions. Sometimes even, if someone's got like 100 pounds to lose, I might do, 4, 5 or 6 sessions, one after another, and then once a month for a period of time to keep them motivated and keep them topped up. Because one of the ways of thinking about it with weight loss is a lot of it is down to coaching. And this is what we're going to be doing. It's really about coaching them and motivating them and keeping them motivated. So these are the 5 techniques, or tips rather, that I highly recommend that you start using because it will really change your success. The first one is, you can either do this in the initial phone conversation or Zoom call or however you're doing it, or in the pre-talk. And that's to really give the client some understanding of what to expect. A lot of times people will assume quite wrongly that if they're going to be hypnotized to lose weight, that somehow the hypnosis is going to do all the work for them, that they're not going to have to change anything. I've had clients before I started introducing this, who just assumed that if they were hypnotized, then somehow magically the fat would just leave their body and they hadn't got to make changes. And clearly that doesn't work like that. So we need to explain to the client that what we're doing here is really motivating them to make the changes. They still need to do the exercise. They still need to make better food choices, and we're going to help them to do that. And we're going to help with emotional eating and things like that. But they have to do consciously everything they can do, and we're going to work together with hypnosis to use a deeper part of their mind to get them to have greater success. But they have to put forward the effort. So we want to set realistic expectations. This is what we really need to do so that they really understand what hypnosis is, how it works, and it's not going to do the work for them. It will help them, but it's not going to do it for them. So this is really important, because otherwise you'll get people who just assume that it's the hypnosis that's going to do the work, and they'll come back after the 2nd or 3rd session and go, it didn't work. Well, you know what? It's not going to do that. It's not how it works. They have to do the work. The hypnosis makes it easier. So we want to use conscious and also unconscious resources. We have these 2 parts of the mind for a reason. So we want to get the client to use both aspects of their mind. The second thing is, what we really want to do is to get them motivated. Now, some hypnotists assume that just because the client turns up for a session, that means they're motivated enough to make the change. And this applies to weight loss clients and smoking clients and drug and alcohol type clients. The hypnotist assumes that just because the person books an appointment and pays the money, that means they're motivated enough. Now, the reality is that's not true. They're clearly not motivated enough. Now, how can we possibly know that? Well, simple. If they are still doing the behavior, then they're clearly not motivated enough at that moment in time to make the changes. Because let's face it, anyone, if they're 100% motivated, can lose weight. Anyone who's 100% motivated can stop smoking. Anyone who's 100% motivated can stop taking drugs. We need to get them motivated. So do not assume just because a person turns up for a session that they're motivated enough. They clearly are not, because if they were, they wouldn't be with you. So they're not motivated enough. So please, please, please don't assume that they're motivated enough. The very fact that they're turning up for a session for hypnosis to help them lose weight means at that point in time, they are not motivated enough. As I say, if they were, they would be doing it. So we need to get them motivated. So how are we going to do that? Well, there's two main ways you can motivate someone. People either move towards what they want or they move away from what they don't want. This is like the pain and pleasure thing. So we need to find out how they're motivating themselves already and pump that up. Now, typically with weight loss clients, and the same with smoking, is that they clearly don't want to be fat. So they're moving away from what they don't want. And we need to pump that up. Now, we can use pain and pleasure. Sometimes people use just pain and some people use just pleasure to motivate people. And that's a recipe for failure, because if you just use pain to motivate someone, what will happen is that after they get a degree of success, the more successful they become, the less motivated they become. So it's like, imagine you sit on a hot stove. At the moment that pain hits you, you're going to shoot off that stove. You're going to be really motivated to get off that hot stove at that point because the pain will be intense. But the further you move away from that stove, the less the heat will affect you. So the more, if you're only using pain as a motivator, the more distance there is between the person and the pain, the less motivated they are. And so this is what often happens, is this is what you hear about with yo-yo dieting, is the person's really in pain and they go on the latest diet, whatever it is. At that point, they're motivated. They do whatever it is they can. And then they reach a certain degree of success. Maybe they lost 10, 20, 30 pounds or something. But the more weight they lose, the less motivated they become until they get to a certain point, and then they think, yeah, I'll just have that donut. And at that point, bang, all the weight comes back on again because they're using pain as the sole motivator. If you just use pleasure as the motivator, for a lot of people, that won't be enough to get them started because it will be so off in the distance that it won't get them started. So what we need to do is use a combination of pain and pleasure so that we get them started, but then when they're starting to move, we start and push them in a direction. So it's like a push-pull thing. We're getting them in the right direction. So first what we're going to be doing, and this is done, I do this in a couple of ways. One is in the pre-talk, the other is in the hypnosis sessions itself, using what's called the sort of fork in the road type process. We can talk about that in a moment. But basically what we're going to do in the pre-talk is going to say, okay, so like, what are the excuses that they've been using to justify why they're overweight? And it could be, well, I'm too busy to cook proper meals. You know, I'm always snacking. You know, I've got an addictive personality. I've got a slow metabolism. I've got big bones. I normally respond, yeah, covered in meat and potatoes. There's some excuse that they're going to be using. And it's these excuses that are letting themselves off the hook. So we want to take those excuses and the behavior, and we want to start attaching pain to them. So how do we do that? So we're going to ask them, okay, so let's say the person's 50 pounds overweight. So we're going to say to them, okay, so what does this cost you, being this overweight? What do these excuses cost you? What do they cost you in the way that you, not just financially, what do they cost you physically? What do they cost you emotionally? What do they cost you when you look in the wardrobe and there's all these clothes that you can't get into? What is it? How does it feel when you go into a clothes shop and you see all these racks of clothes but there's nothing in your size? What does this cost you emotionally? And start really getting them to feel bad. We want to attach them to pain. So right now in the present, we want to get them attached to the pain right now. So how does your partner feel about you being overweight? What about your children? A lot of times I've had people come in whose children don't even want them to drop them off at school because they don't want to the kids don't want their friends to see their mum at the size and shape she is right now. So all these things we want to be aware of and we want to use them. So we want to pump up the pain, but we're not going to stop there, because if we stop there, it's not going to be enough. Then I'm going to take them a year in the future. So, okay, imagine it's a year in the future and you never did anything about your weight except you gained another 40 to 50 pounds. Because let's face it, anyone can gain a pound a week. You know, you can gain a pound a week without noticing. If you gain a pound a week, that means this time next year, you're 40 to 50 pounds heavier than you are right now. What will that cost you? What will that cost you emotionally? How much energy will you have? How much more strain will you be putting on your body if you're 50 pounds heavier? How's that going to affect your relationships? What's that going to stop you from doing? You know, are you going to be giving up things that you're doing now because you can't do them now in a year from now? What's going to be the cost to that emotionally? Is that a price that's worth paying? And then we're going to take them 5 years, do the same again, and then 10 years. And I want to really get them associated to the pain. And you know what? Some people may start crying at this point. Well, good. Rather than cry and then suddenly wake up one day with diabetes or a heart attack. So I'm going to use every trick in the book to get them motivated to start making these changes. Then what I want to do is go, okay, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Let's imagine another road. And in this road, you make these changes. Right here today, you decide that's it, enough's enough, and I'm going to make these changes. Where's your life going to be a year from now, having made these changes? Like, so if you've dropped all the weight you wanted to lose, where are you going to be a year from now? And have them focus on that. And then 5 years from now, and then 10 years. So we've got this push-pull going on there. And we're going to take all these information, we're going to take all the words that they give us, and we're going to use this in the hypnosis process. So we want to create then the imagery in hypnosis to really pump this up. And this is what's called the fork in the road. So we have them imagine themselves standing at a fork in the road, one road leading off to the left, say for example, that's the continuing to do all the things they've always done and gain more weight and whatever. And then the other one is being the size and shape they want to be, going down that road and being healthier, fitter, being able to play with their kids, feeling proud of themselves, all that sort of thing. So we want to have this push-pull type thing. So it's really important. You have to motivate your clients. So we really need to get that going. Then what we want to do is we want to set goals for them. It's really important to break down the goal of what they want. Now I will say to the client, look, it's really, really important that we pick a date in the future when you are going to reach your ideal weight. So what ideally would you like to weigh? And we need to be realistic here. If they've got a heck of a lot of weight to lose, I'm going to say I've got 100 pounds to lose, that's a big task. So I would say let's break it down to like 25 pounds and have that as the first goal. But we need to break it down. We need to have a goal. And I'll explain to them that healthily, the average person can lose 1 to 3 pounds a week. So you can go on a really crash diet, a really crazy diet, and perhaps lose more, but that's not a healthy way of sustaining it. But if you can lose about 1 to 3 pounds a week. So let's pick the middle figure of £2 a week. So you want to lose 50 pounds, that means it's going to take, if we pick £2 a week, 25 weeks to reach your target. So about 6 months. So I'll say to them, okay, if you've got a diary on your phone or whatever, let's pick that. Let's pick a date where you're going to reach that goal on that day. And that date doesn't change. Now, this uses the strategy of some of the most successful slimmers in the world. Who are the most successful slimmers in the world? Brides-to-be. Brides-to-be are the most successful slimmers in the world. Why? Because they've got a date fixed in the future where they absolutely have to reach that size and shape. You don't get a bride on the day of the wedding going, well, this dress is never going to fit. I better put my pants on, my big baggy pants on. No, it doesn't happen. They move heaven and earth to reach that goal. So it's really, really important. And other successful slimmers like bodybuilders or boxers where they've got to hit a certain weight, this is what they do. They have that goal fixed in the future where they absolutely have to reach that goal. So we really have them focus on that. It's got to be realistic. If they say, I want to lose 25 pounds by the end of the month, not going to happen. So we want to have the goals being realistic. The fourth thing we want to do, and this again relates to goals, is we need to focus on the process. There's a lot of controversy in the field of hypnosis about goals. And particularly it's got, the waters have got really muddied with this idea of law of attraction, which I really don't want to get into right now. With this idea that you should picture or imagine or think of yourself as if you've already achieved what you want to do. So for example, with a weight loss person, picture and imagine yourself the size and shape you want to be. Now, the problem with that is it doesn't work. There's been loads of studies on this now. If you look at some of my other videos, I've gone through this. There's loads of research on what's called end goal imagery, i.e. picture and imagine yourself the size and shape you want to be, or what's called process imagery. And end goal imagery does not work. It creates a delusion. So if you say to the person, right, and you have them imagine in hypnosis, and they're now, I don't know, 250 pounds, and you say to them, I want you to picture and imagine yourself the size and shape you want to be, you will be, deserve to be. And they're sitting there with a big grin on their face, thinking their size and shape they want to be. Suddenly all the motivation goes out the window. You create a delusion. So it doesn't work. There's been loads of studies on this. One particular study that I've often quoted is by someone called Pham and Taylor, P-H-A-M and Taylor. And they took a lot of students, and what they did, they split them into two groups. First group, they said, right, what we want to do is we want you to picture and imagine and think of yourself passing your exams. So I want you to imagine yourself passing your exam and opening the letter and seeing your grades. And they had them do that over and over again. So in other words, they imagined themselves being successful. The other group of students, they said, right, here's what we want to do. We want you to picture and imagine and think about yourself doing the processes necessary to reach that success of passing your exams. So I want you to focus on imagine yourself studying easily and understanding all the things. Imagine yourself doing all the homework. Imagine yourself turning up for class. Imagine yourself doing this. So focusing on the process that was necessary. And when they went to do their exams, the success rates were, it was very, very clear. Those who'd imagined achieving their goal, they didn't. Those who focused on the process, their exam results were up through the roof. So when we're working with hypnosis clients for weight loss, we don't want to be having them focus solely on picture and imagining themselves the size and shape they want to be. We want to have that as an outcome in stage, but the whole process needs to be focused on what are they going to do. So imagine themselves chewing their food more slowly, taking smaller bites, getting more satisfaction out of less food, making healthier choices when they're going around the supermarkets or whatever, picking better qualities of foods. When they're going into a restaurant, imagine themselves picking the healthier options. All those sorts of things. We want to get them focused on the process, not the end goal. Because if you focus on the end goal, it's not going to work. You're going to demotivate the client. So you have to focus on the process. And the fifth tip, I think this is really important, particularly when we're doing behavioral change. And that is, if you're doing hypnosis, you need to do real hypnosis. You want to prove hypnosis to the client. They need to know that they're hypnotized. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've had clients come in who've been to see another hypnotist, and they said, well, I tried hypnosis before, but I wasn't hypnotized. It didn't work. And I go, how do you know you weren't hypnotized? And they say, well, I just sat there and I could hear every word and I just thought this isn't working. It was nice and relaxing, but nothing happened. So what we need to do is to be a proper hypnotist and use tests and convincers to prove hypnosis. So what do I mean by that? What we want to do is we can either use in an upfront, we can use suggestibility tests like the heavy light arm thing to get them in the idea of using their imagination. We can use inductions, so for example like the magnetic finger induction, where they imagine magnets on the top of their fingers and their fingers closed together. We want to get them to understand that they're being hypnotized. So I will do a pretty much what I call a progressive test induction, which is about really inducing belief and expectancy. Because if you watch any of my other videos before, I take the non-state theory of hypnosis very seriously. I don't believe hypnosis is an altered state of consciousness or has anything to do with relaxation. It's about belief and expectancy. Irving Kirsch, one of the top researchers in the field of hypnosis, calls hypnosis a non-deceptive mega placebo. And so with a placebo, it's about belief and expectancy. And so what we want to do is create belief and expectancy. So I'm going to put in 4 or 5 different tests all the way through the session to prove hypnosis. So again, that could be things like the heavy arms or light arms. That could be the finger magnets. I might do an eye lock. I might do a swallow reflex test. I might do a numbers thing like the Elman induction. I'm probably going to do glove anesthesia and arm catalepsy all the way through. I want them to be absolutely convinced that they're hypnotized, because what can often happen is you can have a client lying there, and if most clients will, even if you do a really good pre-talk and you tell them that they're not going to fall asleep, float around the room, become a zombie, feel weird in any way, at some level they're still going to think that they should feel hypnotized. And so if you just do a progressive muscle relaxation induction and they're just sitting there nice and relaxed, you might have created the most powerful hypnotic suggestion, like a double dissociation, double bind or something like that, with all these different knots in and things like that. I think, oh, this is going to really work. And you hit them with this fantastic suggestion. The client might be sitting there going, wow, that's a fantastic suggestion. If only I was hypnotized, I'm sure that would work. But because I'm not hypnotized, it's not going to work. And so the suggestion's just gone flying out the window. We have to create belief and expectancy. So by doing tests right up front, what we're going to do is create belief so that they know they're hypnotized. So one of the things I'll often do in the first session is I'm going to create glove anesthesia. And I'm going to then pinch the back of the hand really, really hard. And then I'm going to have them open their eyes and look at the pinch mark. And everybody at that point goes, oh my God, you know, suddenly they have a realization that they must be hypnotized. Or I'm going to stick their arm down to the arm of the chair and challenge them to try and lift it up. Because I want them to absolutely believe and to know they're hypnotized. Because at that point, when you start doing the processes, when you start giving them the suggestions, they're going to go, I'm hypnotized, this is going to work. So really, really important. You need to incorporate tests into your sessions. If you're not, you're just being a relaxotherapist. You're not really being a proper hypnotist. So if you don't know how to do tests and convincers, have a look at some of my other videos on YouTube. I've got a couple of videos on how to do that. But it's really, really important that you prove hypnosis. Now, if you do all these things, you're going to massively increase your success rate, because the client is going to be, they understand what's going on there. You understand that they've got a part to play, that they've still got to make the right food choices, or they've got to go on a special, whatever diet it is, whatever. That they're going to be motivated. We're going to use all the words that they've given us and the scenarios, incorporating that in the session. We're going to set proper goals so that they know there's a date in the future where they have to reach that target weight. We're going to focus on the process to really program their mind to make the changes, and we're going to use tests and convincers to prove hypnosis. Put all that together, then if you add it to everything you already know, it's going to make for a really powerful lot of sessions. So, and again, as I say, I don't believe in, particularly if you're working with a client who's got a lot of weight to lose, I don't believe in the one session wonders. You've got someone who's just got their problems just cause them eating chocolate. Well, maybe you can get away with one session and give them an aversion to chocolate or something like that. But most people will need multiple sessions for success with weight loss, particularly if they've got a lot of weight to lose. So incorporate this into your sessions and watch your success rates go up. You'll be surprised. This makes such a big difference. Now, if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe, and have a look at the membership section. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos in there now, all sorts of NLP and hypnosis related techniques that you can use to really improve your success rates. So until we meet again, have some fun with this, and really start putting this into practice, because you'll find it will really make some changes in the way that you work.